And welcome back. James is going to take us through the AFC West roster needs. I think we're going to make it kind of a debate style. Is that how we're going to do it, James? Take it away.
Yeah, man, definitely. So like the last couple of times we've done offense versus defense, and then we kind of decided on one key thing or one player per position. We're going to do the same thing here. Every team has something to improve upon this offseason. No team is perfect. So we're going to kind of figure out what they need and how they're going to fill it. This week, we're talking AFC West, not NFC. So we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs, a.k.a. the first place losers. They were 14-2 this season. They lost in the Super Bowl to the Bucs. They had a super prolific passing attack in the NFL, and their defense was kind of middle of the pack. In the Super Bowl, they only had one sack on Tampa Bay, and that's not a way to win against an aging Brady. You got to sack that guy multiple times. On the season, they only had 32 sacks, which accounted for 22nd in the league for pass rushing. Not good at all. Traden, what do the Chiefs need to do to get to the Super Bowl again next season?
Yeah, I think that the Chiefs mainly need to focus on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I will say that their line was exposed in the Super Bowl, but I mean, we've seen this team in the to get to the Super Bowl. This team is gonna just need to maintain their same offensive, high octane game. Like that's just how they roll. I guess defensively that they need to tighten up. Giving up 31 points to the Buccaneers in a Super Bowl and getting completely blown out, that can't happen. So I think it seems like your cornerbacks are going to be. I think quarterbacks are free agents, so that's going to be your kind of big push. I think you either need to sign them or find someone to fill that hole, because if your defense their defense was okay, but they clearly were exposed, and I think that needs to be the focus. And with cornerbacks and a few others, like a safety as a free agent, those are your signings right there.
Do you have anybody in mind from those positions that you want to see go to the Chiefs? Keep in mind, the Chiefs have negative cap room. They have negative $15 million in cap room right now.
Yeah.
So they got to find somebody who is cheap.
Well, maybe you're going in the draft. I mean, there's some first round targets that they could go after. I see there's a few cornerbacks on there that could be targeted, like J.C. Horn or Asante Samuel Jr. But if it's cheap, that's the way to go. Unless you could find some other guy who will just take a pay cut. I don't know.
So Traden's thinking secondary, and he's going to fix it by going to the draft. Eric, what do you think?
So it's like DraftKings almost, like, all right, you just have this much money left. What are you going to get?
Pretty much. That's life too, by the way.
No, you got to compare everything to DraftKings from here on out. I think they need to tighten up their defense. I think D-line, they need a D-lineman. I was thinking exactly what you're saying. I didn't see Tom Brady really have much pressure that entire Super Bowl. They need that pass rushing D-lineman. One other thing they need is to not be so relaxed on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like all season they're losing games by like 20 points, and they have the first half, they start out super slow. And then, of course, Mahomes pulls his miraculous, crazy throws. And, they end up winning and beating the Dolphins like 28-21 or whatever. But we saw in the Super Bowl, like, that didn't happen. It took a toll on them. So they need a coach to yell at them to not be so relaxed on the offensive side of the ball. And they need – why are you looking at me like that, James? It's that simple. And then
you want to get rid of Andy Reid and get a new coach that yells at him.
No, they just need the coach to yell more. And then they need
Andy Reid might have a heart attack if he yells. That dude is heavy set, bro.
They need the offensive coordinator to yell, or somebody from up top. But they need a D lineman. I guess they got to be cheap, because you just said they're negative 1,500 cap room or whatever the fuck you just said. But
sounds like they're
negative 15 million.
They need a D lineman.
Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the cap space, they really don't have anything. So if they're going to add pieces, it's going to be through the draft, which their draft position isn't great either. I think they're 31st out of 32.
That's what happens when you runner up, yeah.
Yeah, so It's going to be it's going to be a difficult time finding pieces here. So they're going to have to find a diamond in the rough in free agency, or hopefully draft a guy in the first or second round that turns out to be a good guy for them. For me, I think they need some offensive line help. I mean, we saw how bad that Super Bowl was. I know they had some injuries and stuff, but clearly the offensive line depth is a concern with this team. If you had a few injuries and your offensive line was that poor. So I think going in the draft, picking up an offensive lineman in the first or second round, I think is probably one of their biggest needs.
I like that. That's different from defense because it's offense. Yeah. And Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, so I pretty much agree with Tyler, which is really annoying. But yeah, they need offensive line help. It looks like they could lose up to 3 of their offensive linemen in this offseason. They have 0 cap space. So that's what my pick was. But just another thing they have to think about is they're possibly losing Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins from the wide receiving core. And obviously with Patrick Mahomes, you are a very pass-heavy offense. They're going to have to look for cheap wide receiver options. Luckily, probably wide receivers want to come play with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. So that might be something they could do a little bit easier. But yeah, after the Super Bowl, they need offensive line help. They're going to have to do it in the draft because they have 0 money.
Exactly. Okay. So I went a different direction. I went more with Eric and Traden, and I said defense, but more specifically went pass rusher, as I alluded to in this little mini intro. They were not good at providing pressure against the quarterback. Frank Clark is good, but he's not great anymore. And with that negative cap space, they got to find somebody cheap. Who better than an ex-Pro Bowler than Melvin Ingram? This guy's coming off an injury-plagued season. He's going to be 32 years of age. He's still got some left in the tank. They're looking to sign him for 2 years and $10 million, which is not bad for an edge rusher. This is the dude who had 10.5 sacks 3 seasons ago and averages like 7.5 sacks per season. He's going to be good. And he's going to, as a veteran, that's the kind of player the Chiefs want. They don't need a young stud right now. They're just trying to win now. And if they can shell out some money and cut somebody else to make room for it, I'm all for it. I think Melvin Ingram is a really good choice for the Chiefs.
Here's a question for you, quick, James. 30, alluding to Tyler's point, 31st in the draft order. Do you pick to position, or do you pick the best player available?
Best player available at 31. Yeah.
Can they just
that for sure?
Can they just trade somebody to get a D lineman or something? Like trade a few receivers away, trade Pringle, trade Robinson, get a D lineman.
He's a free agent. You can't trade a free agent.
Yeah, I guess you technically could, but I think wide receivers are surplus in the NFL right now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Every team has a decent amount of wide receivers, but not every team has an elite edge rusher.
Right.
And there you have it. So it's going to be tough. You're going to have to throw in something big and a couple of draft picks ahead.
I mean, do you think that the Chiefs are going to be as good as they were? I mean, they don't have much room to do much.
I think they are. To Tyler's point, their offensive line wasn't that good this season. And that was because a lot of the guys stepped away from COVID. Like one of their starting right guard is a doctor, like a legit medical doctor. And he went to Canada he took the season off, went to Canada and helped out for COVID reasons. I think that's pretty honorable. And like that was a big loss right off the edge right there. And then Eric Fish tears his Achilles. When you lose it, 2 starting offensive linemen, it's going to be pretty tough. That's going to be more help right then and there. So as a group, are we thinking offense or are we thinking defense? Which needs more help?
Offense.
Going back to Eric's offensive versus defense argument we had a couple weeks ago, I'm sticking with my offensive line pick.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did bring up a point. Patrick Mahomes ran away from pressure for over almost 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Offensive line needs to figure it out.
All right, so it's looking like the Chiefs need an offensive lineman, and they're doing that through the draft, huh, Tyler?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to find a starting offensive lineman at 31. But hey, good luck to you.
It can happen.
Go Chiefs, go. Moving on to the second team of the division, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. They finished at 8-8. They were top 10 in terms of offense. That's crazy to think about. They were a top 10 team on the offensive side. But their defense was terrible. They allowed the third most points in the NFL, and I think they're ranked 30 out of 32. So not good at all. Eric, what is the biggest need for the Las Vegas Raiders, and how do they fix it?
Well, I wish you wouldn't have said that stat because I said better offense.
Oh,
but
Their offense is solid, bro.
They need a quarterback,
What?
a better quarterback.
Wow, you're out to lunch, my guy.
A 3-time Pro Bowler. They need a better quarterback than a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, because they've only made the playoffs with him once. Unfortunately, that year he broke his leg, like literally right before it. I just feel like he doesn't fit in well with that system. To me, they seem like an inconsistent offense. I feel like there was some games where they had a ton of points scored, like when they're beating the Jets, for example, who the Rams somehow didn't fucking beat last year. But their defense, yeah, I mean, they have a bad defense too, but I feel like every time I watched them play last year, they couldn't do dick with the ball. They were pretty inconsistent offensively. They had a few games they did well, but most of the time I didn't think they were that good on the offensive side because of their quarterback, and they need a better one.
They're the only team besides the Buccaneers to have beaten the Chiefs, and they beat them in the last 17 seconds of the game on the last drive. I'd say that's a pretty damn good
with that quarterback.
With that
was cool. That was good. One week of the season. They need to do that in more weeks of the season.
Okay, so how do they get a better quarterback? Do they sign him or do they trade?
Trade him. Waive Derek Carr. Clear up some cap space. As long as they have a solid.
Looks like the Niners will be able to pick up Derek Carr, baby.
Derek Carr for.
Would you take that? I would.
Yeah, I would.
Derek Carr for Jimmy G. Give Jimmy G a fresh new start. Derek Carr.
I think Jimmy G is an upgrade over Derek Carr.
Yeah, he will be in the Raiders system.
I would say the Niners win that trade in a heartbeat.
Oh my God! All right, we're done with you, Tyler. You're up. What do you got?
I think some pass rush options for this Raiders team is going to be really good. So that for me, I think they can do it in free agency. Their draft position, is decent, but I think they can find some decent linebackers out there. Josh Bynes is one that comes to mind. So for me, I think that's where I think they'll probably spend most of their money will be on the defensive side.
Where's Josh Bynes from?
Off the top of my head, I do not know. I just know he's a free agent. I can fact check that.
We do the facts here, guys. Alex, who you got?
Yeah, they really need Khalil Mack. That's who they could use. Again, I agree with Tyler. They kind of need that guy. They need Khalil Mack. They need Aaron Donald. They need a Nick Bosa. They need a leader of that defense. They're not getting Nick Bosa. Calm down, James. They need a leader of that defense. Honestly, I did not, before we were talking about this, I was focusing all on the defense. I didn't even think about the offense. If you had told me they were a top 10 offense, I would have slapped you across the face. No way. So Eric,
look it up.
No, I know. I agree with you. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure it's true. I just wouldn't have believed it.
I don't.
They need defensive help. I do. They also don't have a ton of cap space, but I do think they can do it through free agency. Are they going to get? Apparently, Josh Bynes is from Cincinnati. We just learned.
Thanks, Tyler.
Fact check, baby. Yeah. So I agree with Tyler. They're going to need help on the defensive end. They're not going to have the cap space to go get a star, but just any amount that they can get would be helpful.
Trading.
So to Alex's point, they're another team that has negative cap space as of at least 2 weeks ago. I don't know if that's changed. But one way they can free that up is cutting Marcus Mariota. That's $11.3 million right off the books right there, especially because you have Derek Carr, Eric. You're fine. I agree with the others. I don't know how you fix. Here's the thing. I never was worried about the offense of the Raiders team. I always saw that they were scoring points. They just got outscored. Like that's just how it goes. They just didn't have the defense to beat teams. So I agree with Alex and Tyler on this one. I think that defense is the point of entry, is the point they need to fix. Linebacker KJ Wright stands out. That's an option. He's kind of inexpensive. This might be another team that has to do some draft work, but fix the defense. And I think that this team actually could be a team to beat.
There was one thing that Alex said that really stood out and resonated to me, and that's the Raiders need to find a leader on defense. And I think they're going to find that with Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman's a free agent this year, and both parties have said that they want to work something out. And it's really sad to say. I love Richard Sherman to death. I wish he would sign with the Niners. The Niners just can't do it. They don't have cap space. They can't cut anybody. But to your point, the Raiders can.
You think there's a link there?
They can cut.
You think there's a link there?
Oh, 100%. 100%. They've been talking back and forth.
He's already in the Bay. He doesn't even have to move.
Exactly. And people
wait, he's in Vegas.
Las Vegas.
I kind of forgot the Raiders were in Vegas for a second, not gonna lie.
A little bit of tidbit. Hold on, time out. I live very close to Irwindale. I did not know that the Raiders almost moved to Irwindale. Like they almost became the Irwindale Raiders. That's kind of a big deal.
So
like
weird.
In my mind, the Raiders are still in Oakland.
Yeah, me too. I also almost made that mistake when I was doing this part. I was like, oh, he lives there already, but it doesn't make sense.
Irwindale Raiders.
You can keep it in if you want. I don't mind.
That's fantastic. Definitely keep it in. So I think the consensus is we're going defense because Eric is just wrong.
Great background though, bud.
The Raiders need defensive help. The Raiders need defensive help. Moving on to the Chargers. Los Angeles, right? Alex?
Yes.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes, I do know that.
There you go.
Thank you, James.
7-9 last season. They were middle of the pack of offense and last third in defense. The thing is, they have great pieces on offense. They just got to put it all together. So, Tyler, what do they need to fix and how do they do it?
Yeah, I agree. You can say middle of the pack there. I do think that they can shore up the O-line a little bit. Maybe one other guy, one veteran leader on that O-line could help. But pass rush, defensive side, I think is where they'll, kind of focus a lot of their energy on. The good news is this team does have a good amount of cap space to spend some money. So they can go out and get a pass rusher. Draft order, they're kind of right in the middle, so maybe something will fall to them that they can pick up. So I think they'll do it kind of combination of draft, but like I said, they do have a lot of cap space, so I think they might go out and sign some free agents there, particularly on the defensive side.
Any names?
No.
Bosa.
It's just a free agent. All right. Yeah. You're killing it, Tyler. Good job. Alex, what you got?
Yeah, so the Chargers have their franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. He was amazing this year, with having an inconsistent offense. And he was an inconsistent player, but he's a rookie. We'll see better things from him in the future. They have a ton of cap space. They'll probably have money coming in. There's a new stadium they get to play in. Hopefully there's fans coming in, out of the possibility this upcoming season. They've got money. They need to protect their quarterback. So I'm saying they go offensive line, possibly Trent Williams from your Niners or center Alex Mack from the Falcons. I think they have the money to spend. You kind of want to give Justin Herbert big names. Those are big names. They're veteran players. The Chargers, if they almost beat the Chiefs. They have a good team. They just need a little more consistency. I think that offensive line, protect Justin Herbert. He's got the legs to do the rest of it. Justin Herbert, protect him.
Love that. Great answer, in my opinion. Trent, we got.
Alex is bang on.
Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely
bang on. He's bang on.
It's bang on. The needs offensively is the offensive line. The rest of the offense is pretty solid. I mean, Justin Herbert is amazing, and it is amazing that he did tremendous under pressure. But as we've seen time and time again, it's not sustainable. It's just not. It just doesn't work that way, especially when you're looking to go far in the postseason. So you got to pick up. And by the way, they're losing two of their linemen to free agency who weren't even that fantastic either. And and Mike Pouncey's retiring, or he retired. So I think that's where you got to focus. I like Villanueva. I like that.
From the Steelers.
That's defense. I think though.
No, he's a tackle, left tackle.
So there's some options. I think you got to look at the draft. They do have $23.8 million of cap space, so they have a little bit of room to work with. Fix that offensive line, please.
Eric, are you gonna say safety? Is that their position of need?
No, he's gonna say quarterback.
No.
Who you got?
Chargers, keep doing what you're doing, but finish off your damn games from start to finish. Play all 4 quarters. Herbert has what it takes. He's shown us that. He will dominate. Get Richard Sherman. Get a leader on defense. That's going to help you finish and close out these games. Yes, they need O-linemen, but they need to fucking finish off these games. They need to win those 31-28 games that, they could have done it against the Chiefs last year. Maybe their kicker missed a few field goals, but they need a guy like Richard Sherman to just put them in check on defense.
That's a very interesting take. I agree with Alex and Tyler. Traden, not Tyler. Alex and Traden. Offensive line help, but I want to focus more on the center position. I think they should sign Corey Linsley from Green Bay. Center is the key to an offensive line. Green Bay had a good offensive line, and he was the key to it. You got to make the calls. You got to make the blocks. Corey Linsley did fantastic. The old center, Dan Feeney, the dude allowed 4 sacks and 33 pressures on the QB all season long. Those are terrible numbers. He's probably the worst center this league has to offer. So, yeah, go sign Corey Linsley.
Oh, and by the way, Justin Herbert still did what he did. Can you imagine if he had protection? Yeah. Like, I'd watch out.
That's what I'm saying, man. Justin Herbert is going to be a threat to this league.
Yeah.
If he gets offensive.
Watch out Mahomes, because I think I'm not saying he's good at Mahomes, but I think that team has a legit opportunity to compete for that top spot.
Well, no, because
I think his comp right now is actually Josh Allen.
Obviously.
Right, Tyler?
Yep, Hurts, baby. He's coming.
Oh, my God. Last but not least, we're going to go to the bottom feed of this division. That's Denver Broncos. They're 5-11. They were bad on offense. They were bad on defense. Just bad all the way around. They were hit hard by injuries. Still doesn't really exempt them from all this. Alex, how do they fix it? What do they need to fix, and how do they fix it?
Yeah, I was kind of big on the Broncos at the beginning of the season. I thought Drew Lock was, kind of a sleeper. He was terrible. So I'm actually gonna go QB this time. I still think Drew Lock is still going to be the starter for now, but I like the idea of them getting a veteran to play as a backup, just to kind of help move him along in the process of developing. Unfortunately, there's not like a ton of really good veteran quarterbacks on the free agency list right now. They do have some cap space. I kind of thought Cam Newton for a second, but I changed my mind on that. I didn't like that idea. It could kind of work, but I'm not feeling it. But maybe somebody like Jacoby Brissett, he could kind of be a guy who's, he's shown that he can be good in this league. He's maybe not a game changer. They're not going to drop a bunch of money on him, but enough to like have a veteran presence. And they need Von Miller back. He's the face of the franchise. I mean, I know that's not that's an injury related thing, but yeah,
I like it.
The Broncos suck.
The Broncos are bad. Trading we got.
Look, it's tough. I think that I don't think Drew Lock is incredible by any means. I don't think he's that great, but I don't think that you need to be trading for a quarter. I mean, the only way you can really get a quarterback that's actually worth it is by getting I would say a superstar, and that maybe Deshaun. Unless you can get Deshaun Watson, I don't think it's worth it. I think there are other holes you need to fix, especially when you have only one cornerback that's left on the roster due to the others being released or going to free agency. So I think that's what you need to fix. Defensively, this team needs to improve. I know that the offense is not great either, so it's really tough. This one might be the biggest bit of contention for this group, but I'm gonna stick on the defensive side. I'm looking maybe at Troy Hill. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Taking it from the Rams. I like it. Eric, how do you feel about that?
We're not going to give him to the Broncos trade, and I think they're like the Raiders.
He's a free agent, bud.
Sounded so Canadian.
So if you just give him enough money, he's gonna go anyway.
I think they're just like the Raiders, but even worse on offense. And their quarterback is kind of like the Raiders quarterback, but even worse.
Oh my God.
So they need a quarterback. Maybe they get a guy like Mariota or like trade for Sam Darnold or something like that. Give Sam Darnold a new change of scenery away from that terrible organization of the Jets. Get him over to Denver, change it up, get him in with who's their running back? What's that guy's name? The Chargers had him.
Melvin
the Broncos.
Gordon?
Yeah. get Sam Darnold and Melvin Gordon together, maybe you actually have a chance on offense all of a sudden. You got a quarterback that knows what he's doing. Who knows?
Okay, interesting. Tyler?
Yeah, this is a confusing one to kind of dissect and really pick one particular one they really need. I kind of get the sense they're going to give Drew Lock one more year to kind of prove himself. So I don't think they're really going to go for a quarterback. As I kind of agree with Traden on, I'm kind of more on the cornerback side of things. They're losing a few. They're going to get Von Miller back hopefully. So hopefully that defense will get better. Add a free agent cornerback, maybe Richard Sherman. We mentioned him earlier, or a Shaquille Griffin maybe. There's a few free agent cornerbacks out there. They have some cap space to fill it. For me, the Broncos, as how terrible they are, they do have a decent running game. So I think offensively, like they're not as far away as I think defensively they could use more help. So if I was the Broncos, I lean more on the defensive side.
I think Drew Lock is done. Drew Lock is just not it. They're going to go to the draft. They're going to pick Justin Fields up. He's going to slip to number 9 because people are not going to like the fact that he runs. Okay, so that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
They're going to pick up Justin Fields. That's what's going to go.
Wow, that's bold, man.
That's a drops to number 9.
Wow.
Well, we
number
know.
9, yeah.
Like something I would say, James.
This better be on the TikTok or whatever. You need to clip that because that's bold, man.
It's so bold that James just leaves the podcast and he's back.
Yeah, that was his mic drop, guys. He just mic dropped.
Justin Fields is going to fall to number 9. He's going to go to the Broncos. That's what's going to happen.
That would be incredible.
Hold on to that. See what happens.
Yeah, I can't wait to see if that turns out because that would be epic.
You heard it here.
We'll go over the draft later, but that's my segment.
Love it. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I learned a lot from you guys, and we have cool different perspectives. We look at things a little bit differently. Unless you're Eric, who says that the Raiders need a new QB, we all have good perspectives, and I think that's awesome.
Wait until this season, Traden.
Okay. I'll wait.